Alright guys, and we are back once more with another go of Misericorde. But Moira kept talking. That night on the landing when you said you saw a ghost, I know Eustace claimed the credit, but the more I hear from the others, and the more I see myself, I sometimes wonder. If it's any comfort, I don't know what to believe about it either. What was it like? Terrifying. And then when everybody assumed it was a practical joke, I felt very small. I would too. I must apologize for throwing my lot in with them. It's no trouble. I can scarcely believe it myself. It goes against everything I know, everything I hold true. How could I judge anyone for dismissing my account? You are too forgiving. You did not see it. You have nothing to apologize for. That's not true, actually. What do you mean? Remember in the village, when I whispered to Eustace? I was telling her that we had to stall so we wouldn't get back to the Abbey too early, since everyone was getting ready for the feast, which was meant to be a surprise. Well, it was a lovely surprise. So how could I be upset? Moira smiled. Her eyes were a little damp. I felt horrid for keeping you there against your will. I felt horrid being there, but I think in the end, this day ended up being rather good. Really? That's a relief. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve, then stood up straight. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, though. We gotta wait till 10, remember? Right. I think I'm gonna lie down for a little while to recuperate. You should. It's been a long day, and it's gonna be a long night. Of course. She smiled at me and then stretched her arms above her head, letting out a huge yawn. I think I might do the same. Knock on my door if you get up before I do, won't you? Of course. We went into our separate rooms. I think I fell asleep the moment my eyes shut. I awoke with a start. That damn knocking in the walls was back. The creepy knock again? Ah, man. I looked out the window to see the moon was high in the sky. At the very least, I could thank the creaky old building for waking me up at the right time for this party. I groaned and rolled out of bed. I really should have stripped down before sleeping. I felt too warm and a bit pasty despite the cool night breeze coming through my window. I adjusted my clothes as best I could. On my way out, I nearly tripped over media, which I picked up and put on my writing desk next to the desiccated copy of Matthew. I was getting a little tired of having books of odd import lying around my dorm room, let me tell you. Hello, Hedwig. Hello, Catherine. Margaret. We should go. Yes, we should. They looked oddly serious. Moira emerged from her dorm room as well. She looked rejuvenated since the last I saw her. The nap had done her some good. Hello, shall we? I suppose we must. Moira looked surprised by Catherine's maudlin tone. We traveled to the cellars together in silence. The Abbey looked quite mysterious at this time of night. The pale blue light of the moon was competing with the flickering orange torchlights. As we approached the cellar, I realized just how close we were to the Superior's office. Is this really wise? Surely the noise would carry. I doubt it. We'll be deep in the cellars and these walls are thick. Not to mention that bloody great door of hers. I doubt she'd mind. It's all for Catherine after all. Of course. Only a few torches down the cellars had been lit. I could already hear the music echoing around the cool underground walls. It was altogether rather eerie. A sort of fortress of casks had been erected around what appeared to be the designated celebration area. A few of the barrels had been arranged like little tables carrying wineskins and cups. Adela had one of these makeshift tables to herself and was playing some sort of card game with Sister Charity. Whatever the game was, it finished as we approached. Adela flipped the card over, causing Charity to erupt into giggles. Hello, everyone. Would any of you care to see the future? No thanks. Catherine and Margaret made non-committal grunts and left me alone with Adela, who was already shuffling the cards. You should. It's not half bad. I was already planning to leave early and I got a... What was it you said, Adela, dear? Your present card was the Three of Cups, inverted. In the position it can refer to a lack of time to socialize. Dead on, isn't it? Anyway, I can't stay. These old bones won't survive staying up too late. I just wanted to raise a glass and pour Catherine's name at least. She was really quite drunk already. You should stick around for just a short while longer. I believe you're giving a toast to Catherine in just a few minutes. Oh, you talked me into it. Oh, that was simple. She toddled off. Well, would you like a glimpse of the future, Sister Hedwig? I'm not sure I like the look of this. Is this some kind of Iberian custom we shouldn't play around with? Adela frowned as she continued shuffling her deck of cards. This is an Italian pastime my mother enjoyed, Sister Hedwig. Oh. I felt rather embarrassed. I kept doing this sort of thing. I decided that agreeing to participate would be the best mea culpa I could offer, despite the misgivings I had with the activity. Go on then. She rapped the cards against the table sharply. I will turn over 3 cards. The first card will represent your past, the second will describe your present, and the third card will give you a hint of your future. Are you ready? This was silly. Yes, let's try it. The 7 of Cups. It represents illusions, imagination, creativity, but as you can see, it is inverted. From where I'm standing, I suppose. This is about your perspective, so yes, it is inverted. The card represents your past. You were in yourself for a long time, were you not? You spent a lot of time with nobody but yourself? Nothing but your own imagination. Clinging to this past would not help you. Your second card, the present. I have revealed the world. Once again, it's inverted. In this reverse position, the world represents your inner torment. You are secluded. You are lonely. You are withdrawn. Oh, now you're just being mean. Because something has been troubling you, yes? Yes. Something you need to get to the bottom of. Something that's been preoccupying you ever since you left your cell, am I correct? Yes. Of course I am. You were alone in yourself for many years and now you have been set adrift. How much you wanna bet? Because we saw Catherine and Adela together when we left the room, that this was planned from the get-go to get Hedwig to reveal some of her story to Adela without, having to truly be upfront about it. That conflict has been eating away at you and driving you further inward. The world in reverse, believe it or not, could be a good sign, Sister Hedwig. It represents your current state. You may yet find the answer to your questions within yourself. Choose a final card and we shall see. I pointed at the topmost card in the pile. I did not particularly care for this game and I wanted it to be over as soon as possible. Oh. The Queen of Swords. Reversed. All of your cards have been reversals, Sister Hedwig. That is interesting. Is it dangerous? No, it just means that you face many challenges. Lovely. A reverse Queen of Swords in this position means you will continue to have a hard time moving forward into the future. You must make some decisions, Sister Hedwig. Excuse me. This Queen in reverse suggests to me that you must find some strength inside yourself to move beyond your current predicament. Perhaps there is something small you can think of and change. I'll have to think on it. I desperately wanted to leave the table, but Adela was shuffling the card pile again. Let us ask the cards a question. Think hard, Sister Hedwig. What would you ask the cards? You don't need to speak it aloud. Excuse me. Ask the questions yourself and then pick a card. I hated this game, but I didn't want to upset Adela. I had already seen a real vision today. I reasoned that I had the strength to endure this silly little pagan ritual for one more round. If I could not be flippant openly, I decided I would ask these cards something disdainful if only in my own mind. Is this real? That's why I landed on. I gestured to the bottommost card in the pile that I could see peeking out from beneath the others. Let us see. The High Priestess. That is interesting. What does it mean? Well, to be honest, I think this card is imbued with such mystery that your answer is unclear. I did not like this answer at all. I stared at the card deep in thought. It felt oddly similar to looking at my reflection in the bath. Isn't it funny how every card is imbued with enough mystery to mean whatever you like? I jumped. I hadn't noticed Eustace looming. The cards have malleable meaning, it is true. That makes them better at their intended purpose, not worse. Oh, I don't disagree with you there. Adela shot Eustace a nasty sneer. I was relieved that someone else was the target of her ire now, at least. Do you not have any sense of wonder? No love of mystery? The church holds plenty of mystery for me. Isn't that right, Hedwig? Huh. It is a wide world, and I believe it must be flexible if we wish to spread the faith around it. I opened my mouth to refute this, but I caught myself before saying anything. There was no need to draw Adela's attention back to me. I may have found this talk blasphemous, but at the end of the day, I was a bigger coward than I was a devout Catholic. Another thing I was coming to loathe about myself. We'll leave you to it. Hedwig hasn't even gotten a drink yet, isn't that right? Yes. Goodbye then. She busied herself with her cards. Eustace tugged my sleeve and pulled me away from the table, although I did not need much convincing. She can be a bit funny about her hobbies. I'm surprised she's allowed to bring fortune-telling here. Those cards are blasphemous, surely. I'm not sure Adela thinks that hard about these things beyond the aesthetics. I would call her an easily distracted traditionalist. She led us to a free table near the edge of the makeshift room with thus far untouched cups and then began pouring 2 drinks. You've had a long day. Indeed, I have. How are you feeling? She nudged a full cup in my direction, which I took with a quickness that surprised even myself. Tired, but also very, very awake. Like I could sleep forever or never again. Darcy was the same way when she started having visions. So you believe me now? I said I believed that you believed you had a vision. Ultimately, what I think does not matter. She drummed her fingers on the top of the barrel cum table. She stared off into the distance, deep in thought. I want you to know that I'm looking out for you. Do you understand that? In what sense? I can't say, but I promise it isn't out of disrespect. I am not being condescending. She was being very condescending. You being at a wake for Catherine, it feels quite strange, uncomfortable, and I felt similarly about you working in the library as well. I keep glancing up from my work expecting to see her sitting across from me, writing God knows what, but instead I see you. And that isn't your fault, to be clear, but it stings every time. I can only apologize. I'm no replacement for her. I was never trying to be. I was very angry when I first heard that you had volunteered for her old position. What a climber, I thought. You regretted taking such extreme vows and jumped on a rare opportunity to leave. I know several other sisters think the same way. I don't think that anymore, just so that you know. What changed your mind? You're fucking miserable. This wasn't something you wanted, was it? She peered at me through her thick glasses. I knew that there was no way I could lie. She was clearly comfortable in her deduction already. No. The superior put you up to something, didn't she? Yes. I wish she hadn't. I sometimes feel the same. She wanted some objective eyes and ears, I take it. She's not satisfied with the conclusion that that man killed her. Yes, that's it exactly. Of all her idle interests, this is easily the most annoying. See, those opinions right there, that very response is very suspicious to me. It's like she doesn't want people to know. But I'm not gonna put Eustace in that list yet. Maybe she really is just looking out for Hedwig, you know? Still too soon in my opinion. She poured herself another drink. What could convince you to just give it up? Yep, and here we go again. She's about to get on that list again. That's why I tried to scare you, you know. But you're braver than I thought. Oh my god, no, you're digging a hole deeper for yourself, Eustace. Nothing. Oh please, there must be something. No, there isn't. I don't think it was James either. How could you possibly have an opinion on this? You never met either of them. That's not true. Catherine came to my hagioscope several times. Yes, to talk about what? Plays? You didn't know Catherine. Not the way I did. Nor anything close to the myriad connections she had with everyone here. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you picture her? Companionship. Someone who I could talk to about scripture on a level no one else ever has. Yes, she was very good at leveraging people's interests. I know she left a few sisters hurt when she moved on from certain interests. Are you one of them? No. But that is certainly an opinion several people here may have. So you admit I have some knowledge of the situation. Why is it then that you want me to ignore all of this so badly? Eustace looked around to make sure that nobody was within earshot, and leaned across the barrel to speak in a harsh whisper. Poking around for perceived conspiracies is what got her killed, and I don't want the same to happen to you. You or anybody else. Again, I know she's looking out for her best interest, but at the same time, the way she's going about it and her responses to most of the things she's saying, it's suspicious, man. I was gonna kind of let you go, but then you're putting yourself on that list right now. What do you mean? So you don't think James killed her? I didn't say that. Then, Eustace leaned away suddenly. I intuited that she had seen someone approaching out of the corner of her eye and it bit my tongue. Hello. Is this wineskin still full? Eustace began pouring wine for the two of them. They took their cups and settled in with us. The conversation with Eustace, it seemed, was over for good. Has Adela read everyone's fortunes yet? She told me I had a lot of anger in my past. Too right. Did you know that the death card doesn't always mean something bad? I nearly screamed when she showed me that one. It usually means change, the death card, I believe. I'm not sure that cards actually mean anything. They can mean everything, which is just as unhelpful. Still, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? As long as we don't take it too seriously. Margaret chugged the rest of her drink down and slammed the cup on the table. Right, I suppose I should get back to the loot. She left the table and used to screw it around to better talk to both Moira and I. What's got Catherine in such a bad mood, do you think? She gestured toward the tall woman who was leaning against a barrel all by herself, looking positively ashen. Huh, that's not like her. Not at all. Do you think we should ask her? Maybe later, not now. I'd rather wait until she's got less wine in her. I made eye contact with Catherine by accident while the others were talking. She sighed deeply, then looked away to pour herself into the cup. That's really not like her. I had in fact seen Catherine in a similar state in the Misericorde not very long ago when she had been staring into the fire and lamenting her lot in life. She had alluded to her old home life then. Now that I knew the rumors surrounding her exit from the village, I had a sinking feeling about what was bothering her. You don't think she really did what they say, do you? Kill her husband? Laura and I both coughed into our drinks. No, I don't think she did. No, nor me. She's a bit odd, but I don't think she's that kind of odd. Look who's talking. Flora had arrived without anyone noticing and looked ready to pick a fight for some reason. Eustace turned around to address her curtly. I never said I wasn't odd, but I think we can all agree Catherine and I are different kinds of odd. Never mind. Wine me. Moira obliged immediately, lifting up the wineskin to pour a mug for the impatient young woman. Go easy on the stuff this time. You're not my mother. Thank God for that. Flora stuck out her tongue at Eustace and left, presumably to go bother somebody else. I know it's normal for young nuns to act out, but she's been acting out for a long time now. I bristled at the curse, but the insinuation that Eustace found Flora's behavior somehow beneath her bothered me more. I opened my mouth to say something about it, but Moira got there first. It's probably for the best. She was always more tactful than me. You like to act out too, Eustace, just in a more elaborate ways, I suppose. My pranks have always been elaborate and thought-provoking. What thought was dressing up as a ghost meant to provoke? Ah, a ghost! We all laughed, even Eustace. I wish I knew how to do that sort of thing. If I had been left to my own devices, I would have likely started another argument with Eustace. Woman to woman, Eustace and I had a relationship that seemed liable to fall apart at a moment's notice. With Moira around, I felt part of an inseparable trio. Eustace glanced across the room at Margaret, who was fiddling with her lute while standing on the top of the crate. Catherine had wandered over to the makeshift stage as well and still looked a bit dour. Her and Margaret exchanged a few words. Neither of them looked thrilled, honestly. Finally, Margaret shrugged. Catherine sighed, then appeared to pull herself together somewhat miraculously. Margaret strummed the chord and spoke loudly to everyone gathered in the cellar. Everyone? I know we have some very important drinking to get to, but there's someone who won't be joining us tonight who we need to pay tribute to. A murmur of approval echoed around the room. Someone who can't join us ever again. It's been several weeks since we lost our dear sister Catherine II. I'm sure she'd be delighted to see all of you here. Annoyed, perhaps, at a few of you, but that's nothing a few drinks couldn't fix, I'm sure of it. Everyone chuckled, but I was left confused. What sort of mourning was this? We will never have a sister like her. I dare say there isn't a convent in the country who will. In the world, most likely. I miss having the competition. Her and I had unparalleled beauty, wit, and grace. I came out on top, of course, but it was very close. More laughter. But she handily bested me at other things. Her boundless love for others. Her endless interest in all manner of scholarship. Her frankly rabid hatred of Italians. Everyone found this one particularly hilarious, but I was more lost than ever. And the Spanish. Or was it the Portuguese? I can't remember. She certainly got her licks in on the English as well, which... She raised her mug into the air, and the crowd followed suit. Fair play. Fair play to all of it, I suppose. Where else but England would Catherine II get stuck with a convent full of Spaniards and Italians? She was Irish, of course. Moira put her hands together in front of her mouth and let out an approving howl so loud I flinched. Everyone else found this very amusing. She liked to remind us of that whenever she could. I once asked her why not go back to Ireland then, when I was particularly irritated with some of her good-natured ribbing. And I swear this is true. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "My dearest Catherine, ignoring the fact that I must remain here as a nun, I would never consider Limbarrow anything less than my home." How very trite, I thought. I still do, most of the time. Limbarrow really feels like a home to me. The hallways are drafty, what little work there is to do is tedious, and the tedium only increases when there's no work left to do. It rains all the time and it's freezing cold even when the sun is shining. That all being said, I realized something recently. I may grouse about this place, and I'm certainly not going to stop, but Limbarrow certainly feels like less of something without Catherine II around, and I think perhaps, if she considered it a home, I could too. So maybe it is home, for better or worse. I miss her, and I think I would miss all of you just the same way were any of you to leave. Most of you. The crowd laughed again. Catherine raised her mug and began pointing at people in front of her. Charity, what will you miss most about Catherine II? I'll miss chatting with her about the past. Nobody else here wants to hear it. Too bloody right. Marta. I'll miss her assistance in the cellars. Flora. I'll miss having a real friend. Adela. I'll miss having a sparring partner. Hold on to that one, I doubt you'll ever duel someone again. You two were complete mad women. Eustace. I'll miss our conversations in the library. Someone Eustace enjoyed talking to. What a rare person she was. I think we only have one other here like that. Darcy? Sorry, what was the question? What are you gonna miss most about Catherine II? Oh, I will miss having someone to discuss ghosts and spirits with. Steady on. Moira? I'll miss her accent. She was choking back tears. Everyone chuckled sympathetically at her silly answer. It was a little taste of home, I'm sure. Hedwig? Only joking. Margaret? I could have shrunk into a mote of dust. I'll miss playing music with her. And we all miss hearing it. Speaking of, Margaret, you did say Catherine wouldn't be joining us tonight. But perhaps if we drink hard enough and sing loud enough, she'll join us. Am I right? Come now, if we can't hear you, she certainly won't. Am I right? Everyone began stomping and clapping. Some people were banging on barrels to make extra noise. It was so ruckus that I was worried that Superior might descend the stairs to chastise us all, but nobody else seemed to mind. The evening descended into chaos from there. I had no idea what I was meant to do. Once Catherine's little speech was concluded, there didn't seem to be much else in the way of eulogizing at this wake. The sisters were all drinking, laughing, playing chess, and reading fortunes from that demonic deck of cards. Frankly, I felt sick. I stood at the edge of a cellar next to one of the barrels, holding a mug that I took the small sip from every now and then. I felt even more out of place here than I had in the Misericorde. I was confounded by the realization that that place, which was designated specifically for rule-breaking, had felt less debauched than what I saw before me. Margaret played her lute for what seemed like hours, taking breaks only to swig whatever drink Catherine handed to her. Catherine herself seemed to be in a better mood than earlier, although she might simply have been too drunk to feel anything. Even more, I was acting far more depraved than I was used to seeing. She was dancing like mad, bumping into people, and cheering and banging on barrels to create a makeshift percussion section for Margaret. Adela made her way over to me, smiling. What are you doing all the way over here? Oh, I'm just tired, that's all. Come and join in. I'd rather not. I'm happy here. Do you feel out of place? I just didn't know Catherine that well. You're not here because of how well you knew Catherine. You're here because everybody likes you. What rubbish. I didn't know what to say to her, so I took a sip of my drink in a feeble attempt to hide. You need to trust what the card said. Allow yourself to discover where you belong. I nodded in a non-committal way. Mercifully, this seemed to satisfy Adela, who danced off back towards the rest of the group. I could hear wood scraping against stone. Moira had pushed a crate next to Margaret and was clambering atop it clumsily. Everyone! She wobbled and nearly lost her balance until Margaret caught her. Thank you. Everyone, I think it's time we properly welcome our new chronicler. She pointed at me drunkenly and I froze. Everyone turned and raised their mugs to me. Catherine could never be replaced, but Hedwig is a lovely new presence here, don't you all think? I was practically begging to be struck down by a lightning bolt. Anything to end this embarrassment. The feast had been bad enough, but seeing the sisters fully uninhibited, smiling at me, seemingly entirely earnestly as they toasted me, it made my blood boil. I don't really know why, it just felt wrong. But looking at all these drunken, drooping faces gawping at me, I wasn't sure I wanted their approval. 3 cheers for Hedwig! Hup hup! Hup hup! Hup hup! I was rescued by an ugly sound. Flora had wandered over to one of the casks in an attempt to open it, only to break the bung completely. Flora, what are you doing? The skin was empty. I was going to get more and it just broke. Adela and Marta stormed over to the barrel to attempt to help. Flora was covered in red wine. Her wimple was undoubtedly ruined. You really are a piece of work, girl. That is not even the wine we're drinking. I bloody hope not. It smells awful. What'd you do? I didn't do anything. It broke on its own, more or less. You ripped the whole faucet out. How'd you manage that? I barely touched it. You're a bad worker and a worse liar. Get out of my way. Whatever. This was Sister Catherine's first batch of sherry, wasn't it? Of all the casks to break, well, this one's gone for good. Marta yanked Flora toward her by the scruff of her neck. Holy crap. And smacked her face with raw power I wouldn't have expected from her. What do you have to say for yourself? Marta raised her hand again, but everyone rushed forward. That's enough, Marta. It was an accident. Marta let go of Flora and walked away to join Charity on the other side of the room. The cask was still gushing wine onto the floor. Everyone started inching backwards to give the dark liquid a wider berth. Moira tried to pull Flora aside to comfort her, but the younger nun sprinted past towards the cellars. What should we do? There's not much we can do now. It was soaked into the stone. Some got into the cask beneath it, too. Those are probably ruined now as well. Just from having something poured on it? This is a delicate business. What was that you said about it soaking into the stone? It will, believe it or not. Although a mop would not go amiss. No, let it. What? What are you talking about? This is Catherine's sherry, right? The wine she worked on when she tried her hand at winemaking. We should let the Abbey have it. You mean, Catherine made this. If there's a piece of her soul or spirit or essence, I don't know, then the Abbey should drink it. All of it. She can be part of the Abbey forever. Not just stuck in some barrels. Eustace, that is a beautiful idea. I have never known you to speak with such poetry. I have my moments. I agree. What a beautiful way to honor her memory. It is certainly unique. Befitting, I suppose. When you say all of it, Sister Eustace, all of it, anything Catherine made? The mood had soured somewhat when Flora had broken the cask, but a new buzz of activity was starting. Should we just pop the rest open? Let's smash them. That is more like it. A cheer went around the room. Should I go get an axe from the workshop? Good idea. No, I have a better idea, Eustace. Why not use Catherine's sword? Ooh, isn't that dangerous? Absolutely. No more or less than an axe. What about spears? I really prefer the axe, I think. Spears are more effective than both. I get Catherine's sword if it'll spare us a lecture on the troop tactics. Everyone except Catherine whooped and clapped. Is that not rather ghoulish? She was killed with it. The mood soured instantly. Oh. You know, I think that's exactly why we should use it. Should her sword's last act be so grisly? We have a chance to wield it to celebrate her. I resisted the urge to point out that the sword's most recent acts were to slaughter a goat and scare me silly. That actually makes some sense to me. I agree. It's fitting. I'll go and get it. Back in a moment. Catherine's mood had turned again. Nearly everyone else convinced of this ridiculous idea. However, I think we'll be getting on. It was a lovely night, but I'm too old for all this. We need our beauty sleep, don't we, Marta? Waste of good wine. I'm sure we don't actually need to do this. Do what you like. Good night, everyone. They left. Margaret was huddled in a conversation with Catherine again. They both looked quite serious, but Margaret was strumming a tune idly to cover whatever they were conversing about. Finally, Eustace emerged from the shadows once more. She carried that terrible blade with her. When the nuns invested in her cask-breaking plan started cheering, she held it aloft. Even Catherine joined in. Her dark mood had won again. Evaporated. She had turned back into the Catherine I was used to seeing. Right. Who wants to go first? Let me take a swing. It should be Hedwig. Of course, that's a much better idea. Very fitting. Oh, no, I couldn't. Go on, Hedwig.